Alright, so we just reloaded because of the crash. And all I did to crash was I spawned in Kion and then now before we came to Kion in Megara we were getting FPSs of around 30 and the average here is dropping around 15. My specs are in my channel. And I don't have a shallow end rig. We are operating on max graphics and max render range though. We are down to 10 FPS in Kion. Check on... Now I want to note, I've got OBS off on its own processor recorder. Distinct from Astaria. Astaria is only drawing 15 to 20% of the total CPU usage on this. So whatever is causing this FPS drop is not related to CPU usage. Even just now when the FPS dropped a lot, I was still on using 50% of CPU. Checking on... Just see what it's running on for a minute. Only 8 gigabytes of total 32 is available for use, so it's clearly not memory issues. Disk rates are less than 1% on everything. Ethernet is not even getting close to max. And that's with me running streaming, music, and everything, so. Let's go to New Christmas now, see what. I do have logging on. Oops. Just click. Alright, New Christmas, here we come. New Christmas, for me, is surprisingly much higher than Kion. They're still getting some items rendering though. Getting some cache bumps from a lot of stuff. It could be maybe mobile density might be too high in a small area, and it may be having to do a lot of these cache bumps for a lot of the mobile scripts. That might be triggering. Doing as you've requested with that. What we're doing right now is I'm actually on the line with Astaria support and they're requesting some data. So I am just punching things in here to get an idea of what we're looking at. Looks like in different directions we actually have a pretty large variance and how many triangles are on the screen based upon where you're pointing. North appears to be absolutely massive. Run that again. This is just at the spawn point. 24 grand insane, and that might be a running tally. It may be increasing as it renders items into the cache. Nope, it just went down, so it's obviously not a direct train. Pointing south. And I'm keeping my camera focused on where my head's pointing. I'll add even more. That's probably where all the trees are. Black East has a lot. That's where the main city is. And Triangle Visible really takes it when you say. Average FPS has dropped now that everything has rendered. You're down to 12.8. And if we actually run a move, it really is just cutting out. And a lot of it, look how many of the, how much is caching. Crazy. Just run down through here through the dragon area. Let me check my install location right quick on Starry. I want to make sure it's where I think. Yeah, it's on a drive that pretty much only contains Astaria right now. The backup reserve drive, which I use for data that I can not have to worry about failing because I can reinstall it elsewhere and not lose anything. Instead, because these characters are stored server side, so no harm done if this thing goes cut. It is an old traditional spindle disk, but I don't think that's what's causing our issue. Could be. Okay, I've heard that the moving windmills cause a particularly large problem with some people's FPS. We're going to get away from town, go down to the windmill and see what happens. Or actually, let's get a view from. Oh yeah, Triangle's Visible is massive, pointing out towards the undead zones north of town. Now this is pointing outside of town, away from the core of New Christmas, facing almost due south. This triangle's not quite as bad. The average has literally doubled, but the triangle Visible has literally halved. So that seems like it's proportional. Could be that triangle density in some directions is simply too high. I'm beginning to believe. Alright, so we're coming down through here. We're starting near some more trees, and it's starting to look like it's starting to struggle a little bit. Let's take another check. Triangles have reduced as we've moved away from the city. Average frames per second are starting to come up. We're now going by the new Pratt's Pond. Triangle's in scene has dropped significantly. Triangle's Visible, however, has gone up. Our average seems to still be okay though, so it tells me that there's probably some sort of interaction between the two. Make this so. Ooh, the spider cocoons are really nice looking now. We'll work on that. Ah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's see what's going on with the trees. Doesn't seem to be the trees. At least these three. As I said, I think it's more about density. It's about particular object. So here is the spinning windmill that people say really drops FPS. Let's get a good angle at it. Sorry folks, the spinning windmill has actually jumps the FPS. I got a funny feeling those who are experiencing the FPS drop on windmills are windmills that are probably in high triangle count areas. This is an extremely low triangle count region because it's literally looking directly out over the. Look, we're all the way up to 30 frames per second here. I wonder if putting my dragon butt in view will have any effect on it. Let's see. This way. Or slightly more triangles in view, but actually slightly more triangles in seen, but less triangles visible. And FPS is lower with avatar in view. And fine without it in view. Avatar presence does have an effect on how the window is, or how the windmills are perceived. I checked with Shannara and she said that the reboot of her computer has helped fix the issue. And she was having odd behavior out of it, so it may have been a hard drive or memory correction caused by a power failure that occurred just before she got back on. It may have self-resolved, at least for her. Now here's what I'm curious about, this huge tree growth span. Wow! Literally quadrupled it from the windmill scene. Oh my god, it's starting to crawl now. I think we know what our... I think I may have found the source of all the lag. Regrowth here. That particular type of tree might be the issue. Let's see here. Wow! Even bigger than the other grove. But then again, it's looking through like, if you're angling it from that point of view, you're literally hitting all of these trees. We're down to 10.8. I would recommend, if I were the devs, thin the trees out to about 1/2 density, what you've got them right now. It'd still make a nice forest, but I don't think it would bring it to a crawl line. Or maybe 3/4 density. Alright, let's go back to Kyle and do a comparison. Okay, so first off, let's do the standard 4 directions approach. Ocean, not likely to be high. Confirmed, definitely not high. We will go now to east, pointing directly over the core of the main city. Give it a few seconds to res objects and expected the count has doubled for visible triangles almost, and for new triangles the scene has gone up about 50. Okay, so let's go south. This is where a lot of new work is done. This stuff is beautiful, by the way. I don't know whose hand was in this one, but great work, and the triangle visible count is not as high, and the triangle the scene is much. Like Shannara is staying stable, which is good. Go ahead and shoot. West has more in scene, but not in the probably because of the mountains in it. Go get another perspective. We're going to go up to the mountain. See practically everything in town. Kind of curious about the terraces. Terraces quadruple, probably due to all the plants on it. And the frames per second hasn't dropped too low. And as we get away from town, we're seeing a significant increase. Yes, let's gate. Your triangle in scene, half the triangle visible, probably due to the gate. My old gliding spot appears to have almost been built over. Jump off here all the time. I don't know if I can get up there anymore. Okay, good. Use my old gliding spot. Alright, so let's see. They're pointing out down and out down the city, and wham, there goes our. Yes. There's why. Which I'm going to say, 15 is bad. Little, I mean, it's noticeable, but sure bad. Livable. But keep in mind, I've got a pretty high-end system. I've got an i7 3770K, which is a processor Intel built to scale up speed, basically. I think it can get up to 3.9 gigahertz. And then I got the 32 gigabytes DDR3 RAM and a NVIDIA 1000. Right. verify my graphics driver. GTX 1070, sorry. GTX 1070 by NVIDIA. So it's not a, definitely not a low-end card. But I've heard that the GPU doesn't matter as much as your CPU, but the CPU has barely been touched, even when the FPS has dropped down as low as 10. And so it's not frame rate, or not CPU that appears to be causing the issue when it comes to the frame rate drops. There's something else behind that. And I'm thinking it might be this, like the rate at which things are actually, meaning transfer from server to system, put on screen, the whole overall process. And I know it's all stored on system side, but sheer volume of it may make it difficult. Easy. This is a massive forest grove. I'm lighting through. I have not touched too much, so it doesn't have through. I think it's because all these large tree trunks are likely individual objects. You're not requiring a lot of. Watch the. Yeah, look. Very, very low. Okay. Yeah, really, really low triangle count. Now, you guys want to die? I'll make you die. So let's go back towards town now and see our frame rate goes. I want it to go back to Dara and pick up the complete work that the crew has been. Ooh, yeah, it looks like even the undead region got another. I think this stuff is in. So this is coming into town. Not bad. Probably it's probably where they're just coming in. They're right now starting to render in as we approach town through the gate. Because there's such a density of content, hard time putting it up there. We've got down to 8.8. So people who have weaker machines than by a lot get to somewhere like right here, and they give it gas, any amount of gas, and there's a good probability you're going to see FPS bottom out, maybe completely, unless they've got their settings on extremely low. And even then, where they're moving at a high rate of speed, you're probably still going to be pulling in it's almost like a machine gun firing triangles at you. And that might be what's causing problems with rendering and crashing. See, right now, as I'm running through here, I am literally forcing triangles down the throat of my system. and it hasn't touched it. I'm going to go ahead and get this in the background, but I'm fairly certain it's not even touching a fraction of capacity. Correct side estimate, which is alright. So right now, Curry is only taking up 14% on 8 cores. I understand it's supposed to be a single core bird setup, but that would mean that for a single core on an 8-core system would have quite a higher percentage rate of that CPU processor. Now I've dedicated OBS's cores to make it so that OBS is not drawing anything more than 3. So it has no impact on me. See, we're in another dense area here, really dense foliage. Strangled and deeper massive just from trees. Trees are awesome, but if they do too much damage to functionality, you gotta consider. And it doesn't need to be that thick, honestly. You do about a quarter of the tree. Still look nice. Have a dense. This is thicker than Miami Beach in terms of palm tree count. Okay, so I'm done with the analysis for now of Kion and Christmas. I've pretty much been around all of both of them. And the conclusion I've reached is that it isn't as much the static triangle count. It's that when you start running at any rate of speed through these areas, their high particle count, you're basically shoving many more fold triangles per second through the system than if you were just standing still looking at it. I'm not sure if that's been taken into consideration. But anyway, I want to submit this to the dev team and let them take a look at it, let them figure out what they want to do with it. But overall, guys, I have to say, excellent work on the artistic side of things. It's absolutely stunning. All we need to do is get it a little bit more stable, and I think you're good. So, back to Megara. We're going to go now to Megara, which is one of the previous areas from the previous graphics design setup, and do a triangle count there, just to get an idea of the contrast between. Where was I going? Oh yeah. Alright, so this is Megara, and we're going to do our standard 4-way rotation because this is one of our standard pre-prettified steps. Very, very low in-scene triangle count. Extremely low to the west as well. Silly low to the south. And about the same to the east. So this area is very low triangle density. And we're getting pretty good FPS. Even when we're running, we're still in the 20s. So again, it looks like the density is a factor on top of a combination of motion. As I said, shoving triangle down the processor and the graphics throat. I haven't even tried Slanus. I'm going to have to go try Slanus next. You see how things are going on the progress with the project here. I'm going to go stress test Slanus. So basically, if you stand still in Kion or Nutrismus, your frames per second will literally go up by 50 to 75%. However, if you run, it'll go through the floor. It will bottom out. However, if you walk, it won't be as bad. So for people on low-end systems, drop your render distance and keep to a walking pace. Alright, we're heading to Solanus now. It's the next diagnostic location because I've heard they've done some really nice things there too. Solanus already was full of jungle. I'm really worried about that. This is a desert. Okay, so here we are. We're in Solanus. We're at the res point. We're going to do the standard procedure we did before in all 4 cardinal directions. That's pretty high, in the millions. Oh my god, there it goes again. All the shopkeepers. All the scripts. Caching. Extremely high as well as extremely high MB. FPS is literally bottoming out for me. And this is not a bad rig. And that's without moving here. Now, I will say this much. I haven't crashed but once tonight, and I think it was due to a memory issue. As in, it reached, I think there's some sort of memory leak where it eventually just stalled out. Moving through Solanus, like we saw in Kion and New Christmas, we're seeing average FPS is dropping as low as 8. And it's beautiful, undeniably gorgeous. The amount of work that's been done here totally shows, but I think we need to thin out the vegetation just slightly. Look at all these trees. Yeah, over 1 million still. Outside here and all this. Probably won't be as bad. Nope. More. Put that stupid picture on the wall or what? Go get a top-down view over top of city here and just see how much we can pick up. Wish I could fly right now. If I could fly, I could get you a much more precise tally of total visible rectangles or triangles from the sky. I'm getting the funny feeling though that our actual flyers, our full adults and ancients, are going to be encountering numbers of rendered triangles when they're descending like you would not be. So if I've got 1 million sitting static and then I move, and the density is the same over different parts of the city, you're talking probably tens of millions, hundreds of millions of triangles being rendered over the course of time. as I suspected to get higher, but the trees are somewhat obstructing the view. It's hard to say if I'm actually seeing all that can potentially be seen. Ah, giant chickens! Now, I'm probably partly out of render range of Slanus right now. I've also noticed that my static FPS has gone up some. Notice we've lost some triangles. Triangle view's still up, but we're sitting still, average. Okay. We're going to go for a glide over the city and see what we can get. Well, that didn't work as well as I wanted. Alright, we are now gliding towards Slanus. Doesn't even look like the average is updating. I need to get higher if I want to pull that. There's a place we can glide into it. Of this. Well, I remember gliding into the city at one. Need some altitude. Altitude. Come on, Stratus. On that rock. How did I tell you? Yeah, okay. This doesn't look like it's quite as bad as Ion and on, get off the ground. Hello. Hello. How did I get into this? Way to glide in. Oh. That happy. Because the walls are close by. Even through this dense forest area outside Slanus, not so bad, about 17 frames per second, even up to the point where you're not going too crazy, and hitting up to 20. Another experiment. Okay, so we're looking at Slanus. Average 14. The ocean. Oh my god. How did that happen? Is there an eclipse going on? Is that what's happening here? That sure looked like an eclipse. Okay, so 20 if you look out to sea. And if you look away from Slanus, along the coast, 17 probably the mountains. And if you look inland, about the same as Slanus itself, slightly higher. So you're actually seeing the city is actually the lowest FPS, static FPS, observing it from afar. I think they may have elevated the wall slightly, because I'm not having as easy as a time to get in here. Could be that I was gliding from here and the walls were, oh, this is... So yeah, looking into the city, bye-bye frame rate. I could do the PTRI on a glide. Like, you know, have a running tally to see what was going on as you moved. Yeah, look at that. Frames and triangles and scene has literally doubled just on entering the city. Total in scene is, or total visible. Total in scene has gone up about a third. So yeah, I think we can conclude the cities are absolutely stunningly beautiful now, but the foliage might be too dense for some systems. Anyway, that is my summary functionality of the new patch. Not the aesthetics. The aesthetics are obvious, unbelievably. Functionality wise, happy. And hopefully this service will be free if many of you will act. That's my don't want to discourage the devs. You guys amazing work here. Complain on the looks of it. Just needs a little performance wise. Because at my end, my system, the way it's configured, struggling with it, I can't imagine with some people.